you know, not being able to have your baby home with you and stuff. And I think that was like my first time really breaking down in tears. Like,
the sun will shine again, the sun will shine.
hey everyone, Naturally Nick here, and I'm back with a new video. As you can see from the title down below, this is basically a story time about about when I had my daughter, so emotional labor and her being a preemie baby. So I had my daughter when I was about 18, so I got pregnant at 17 and had her at 18. And it wasn't something, obviously it was not something I planned. It was just something that happened due to, like, due to not being as safe as possible, but it was like nothing I planned. So when I found I was pregnant, I was about like a month and a week when I found out I was pregnant. And you know, like, I went in, I remember going into the doctor's office and whatever, and I did like a urine test, and she came back, she's like, yeah, you're about like a month and a week pregnant or whatever. And I remember her asking me, she's like, do you plan on doing an abortion or keeping it? And I didn't hesitate. I was like, I'm going to keep it. And she's like, you know, if you ever change your mind, you could always come back. And then she's like, do you think your parents will be supportive? I'm like, yeah, I think they will be, or whatever. So basically 17, pregnant, went home, had to tell my parents or whatever. I think I told my mom the same night, or like the day after, but like my dad, I told him a couple days later. My mom was so mad the first time when I told her, but like by the next day she was completely fine. My dad reaction, he didn't seem mad, but like the next day, like, it was so obvious he was really pissed off about the situation. But like over time they got over it, and they were very supportive. Before I go into this video, like, I just want to say my mom is like the real MVP. The time this lady took out to bring me to these appointments is ridiculous. Like, I don't know, there's nothing I could ever do to repay her for like being there for me 100% all the way through. Like, she's, oh my god, like, I can't even. But yeah, so basically my pregnancy, I was a high risk pregnancy. I remember I did my first blood test, and my doctor said to come back, and I came back, whatever, my results came in, and then he was just like, oh, the results came back and we think your baby has Down syndrome. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we think your baby has Down syndrome. So basically, he booked an appointment for me to go like to this hospital, like deep down Mississauga, like deep. So basically it was the earliest I've ever woken up to go to an appointment. So I went, my mom took me, she was there with me, and they did like an ultrasound, like the longest ultrasound of life. They did an ultrasound and they told me to go in the waiting room and wait. And me and my mom were out there for a bit, I think about like 30 minutes and some change. We're in the waiting room, and I just hear my mom, and she's like, something is wrong. I'm like, why would you say that? She's like, look how long they're taking. She's like, something is wrong. And we went in, and they started asking me get together. They started asking me about my family history, and like her dad family history, like my daughter's dad family history and stuff. And it was just like a bunch of questions, and then they finally told me that she has gastroschisis. So for those of you who do not know what gastroschisis is basically she's growing healthy, she's growing fine, but her intestines were going outside of her stomach instead of like inside. So basically that made me high risk, because there are people that have baby with gastroschisis and you can end up losing your baby, because over time, like, your baby, I guess it just, they will start getting stressed, you can say, and can die and stuff. So so basically they told me that or whatever, and I remember going back home, my mom was in the car with me and she's like, no matter what anyone says to you, this is your baby and it's your choice. Don't let anyone tell you to get rid of it. Because basically I was still in that like window period where it's like, okay, if I didn't want her, like, I can still go through this whole abortion thing. But like, it never crossed my mind ever once to ever do an abortion or get rid of her or anything. Like, I accepted the situation for what it was. I accepted at 17 that, like, you know, I wasn't protecting myself and this is the outcome of the situation, and I never ever once regretted like who I was having my child with or anything, and I never felt the need to go and abort the baby or anything. So she told me that or whatever, and basically I went back to my doctor and yeah, I told him what they said, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna recommend you to Mount Sinai, best hospital in Toronto, hands down. Mount Sinai Hospital, downtown Toronto, best hospital of life. I said when I have my next baby, that is exactly where I want to go to have my next baby. So basically 17, high risk, gastroschisis. So basically I was going to Mount Sinai like every few, like I think once every other week. So basically a couple days in a week, in a month. Fuck. A couple days in a month I was going to Mount Sinai just to do ultrasounds, just to do checkups and make sure everything was going fine or whatever. So that was happening or whatnot. So I remember, I think about like around 5.5, 6 months, you know, like I think around 6.5 months, they had given me like a hotline, like that I could call it in case I think something is wrong. So I've noticed like she was more on one side and she wasn't as active as she was. And I called and I told them, and I guess I was having like contractions, but there was like no pain or anything. So basically I called them, I explained to them, they're like, I suggest you do come into the hospital and just do a checkup. So I woke up my mom and she said that she couldn't bring me at the moment because at that point she had liquor in her system and she just didn't feel comfortable driving me. So honestly, all I did, I just prayed and I just went to sleep hoping that everything was going to be fine. That's exactly what happened. And I had her at 7.5 months. I remember the Saturday we buried my uncle. We laid him to rest. And then the Monday I went in for my regular checkup, and I remember going in and we're doing the ultrasound and everything. She's like, okay, like you're done, everything seems fine or whatever. I'm like, but I'm like, I don't think something seems wrong, because I'm like, she's not moving as much and she's more on one side and whatever. So the doctor that was supposed to deliver me, she called that doctor in, and then he went over and did the ultrasound again and stuff. And I think I was on there on the table for a while they were doing this ultrasound, and he was just like, we're gonna admit you today. So basically they sent me into a room and they were like, they put something around my stomach, and then they were basically monitoring her and stuff. And he was just like, we're gonna admit you for the night or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so that was Monday, and then they got me a room and everything. Woke up Tuesday morning, and next thing I know, I think by 1 o'clock, they had me in like a delivery room. They were monitoring her, and they broke my water. The doctors and nurses, they broke my water. I started having contractions. Let me tell you this, contractions. Contractions. Whew. Just imagine, just take like one of your, like, oh Jesus Christ. Just think of one of like the worst periods you've ever had in your life, and then add like 100 times that pain. That's exactly what it was. So I was basically on this table. They had the thing around me. They were monitoring her, and I felt like I needed to piss every single minute. Like I really felt like I needed to pee. And so my mom was with me for a bit, and stuff. And yeah, it was just, everything just happened so quick. And then I was just like, I remember my mom left because she's like, oh, she has to go pick up my brothers and stuff. And as soon as she left, about 5 minutes, the doctor came in, and they're like, we have to do an emergency C-section because from what they're seeing, so basically I'm in the room, they have the thing around me, and then they were basically like in the next room, and I guess they can see everything from the device or whatever. And like, we're to do emergency C-section because we are losing our heartbeat. My heart dropped into my stomach when they said that. They gave me a paper. I didn't get to read over it quickly, and I remember I just signed it or whatever. She went over like what was on the paper and why I'm signing it and stuff. And I just remember signing it, and like I was scared shitless because I was at the hospital by myself, and I had to call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm about to do a C-section. They said they're losing her heartbeat or whatever. My mom's like, what? Like, I was just there and stuff. And she turned back, and she made it in time to come into the room with me, and she was by my head, and it was just very, very emotional, like very emotional. Yeah, they got her out in time. I did not hear her crying whatsoever. I was just like, did they take her out yet? My mom's like, take her out. My mom was like, they're stitching you back up at this point. I'm like, oh. And so yeah, that happened. I didn't get to hold her. They basically, with her intestines being out, they like wrapped her up, and the only thing I got to do was basically touch her head and rub her arm. And then what happened, yeah, they did that. And if you know Mount Sinai, Sick Kids Hospital is right across, so they had a tunnel, like they have a tunnel underneath the hospital, and they took her right over to Sick Kids. I didn't get to hold her. I didn't get to spend as much moments with her. We were only able to take pictures, and the nurse was just like, take as much pictures as you can, like just take as much. She's like, don't be scared, like you could touch her and whatever and whatever. So like we took as much pictures as possible, and they just took her way over to Sick Kids. And yeah, and that night I was basically there. Yeah, I was at I stayed by myself. By the next morning, they had a number that I could call for Sick Kids to basically check up on her. So with the C-section, by the time I woke up, I was already walking and stuff. So that same morning, I was able to go over Sick Kids through the tunnel. Me and her dad were able to go over, and we were able to see her. And you guys, it's like the most, oh my god, I didn't think I was gonna cry. It's like the most devastating thing ever to basically see your child like on a table, and to basically see her intestines out of her stomach. Like, it was just so sad. Like, I felt so helpless, like, as a mom. Like, you see your child like that, and I just remember, like, she's laying on a table, and I think she had like jaundice or something, jaundice I think. So basically I think her eyes were like yellow or whatever, and they had her under the blue light, and oh my god, they had her under, and then her intestines were hanging on a thing. So like basically, so basically what they said, so I had her the Tuesday, and by Friday they basically closed her up. So each day they like basically put as much back in as they can. They couldn't do it all at once. So oh my god, whatever, fuck it. So basically, oh my god. So yeah, so basically by Friday that same week they were able to put everything back into her, and yeah, ever since that, like, that day, it was just she was sharing a room with other kids. I think I went back home the Friday. I was in the hospital for a few days. I went back home the Friday, and you know, like, it was just, in a way, I felt empty, because it's like, you know, you have your baby and you can bring your baby home and stuff, but to go home and not being able to bring your child home, it's like, it's so heartbreaking. And it was just like, I remember before I went to bed, I would call the nurse and like check on her. Like, they had a number I could call, and I could call, check on her. When I woke up, I would call and check on her, and like right through the day, it was just me calling, checking on her, or whatever. And I remember this one nurse, she had, she's just like, oh, how are you holding up? Like, I know as a mom it can be hard, you know, not being able to have your baby home with you and stuff. And I think that was like my first time really breaking down in tears, like being extremely worried about my child and stuff. Like everything everything negatively just ran through my head. Like, what if I lose her, or like, what if she's gonna be in the hospital longer than she should be? Like, everything possible. And it was just so devastating. It was just such a devastating feeling. Oh my god. Okay, I had to stop and get myself together. So what I was saying, so like basically, yeah, it was very devastating. And I just remember basically, so like I would call every day, check up on her. I had the nurse just like talk to me and stuff, and she's like, you know, like, she was basically like, oh, I'll be okay, the baby will be okay. And she was like telling me like stuff I can do to keep myself like active and whatnot. And like she's like, try to come down as often as possible to see her, whatever. Not that I wasn't going as often. I went like couple days in a week, and when my mom was able to bring me type of situation. So basically that was that. So I finally went back down, and they had her in like a different room. And I think that same day, or like the second time after this one time I went back, they were able to give her own room. So she had her own room, and basically I was living at Sick Kids, you could say. So she had her own room, you know, with TV and bathroom, and then there was a little bed for like parents, they could sleep and stuff, and that was her own personal room. So every day, I think she was in there for like a month. She was in that room for like a good, Sick Kids overall, she was in Sick Kids for like a month, almost 2 months. And every day doctors would come in, they would check on her, and yeah, it was just, my experience at Sick Kids wasn't a bad experience. It was an amazing experience. I always say this, and like Mount Sinai and Sick Kids, I believe, are the 2 best hospital downtown. I would say that. I've not had a bad experience. We're there for like a good month. Doctors, nurses, people that work downstairs and like gift shop, the food court, whatever, they were all amazing people. Like not one bad experience, and they just made you feel welcome, like extremely welcome and at home. And I think what was amazing was every day they had someone that would come in, and they would do like cute little activities with like the kids and stuff, and like it was just an amazing experience. It was just like the stuff they go through just to make people feel welcome, and especially the kids, it's just great. So so yeah, she was in there for like a month. The only issue they had as she was developing perfectly fine was she wasn't feeding the way she wasn't latching on to her bottle as she was supposed to. So at this point they transferred me. They thought like they said she's fine, like there's nothing to worry about, this is the only concern they have, and they had transferred us to a different hospital where she was just for a whole week. And we basically worked on her feeding. We basically worked on getting her to latch onto her bottle, which she did. And you know, they said you're good. By the end of the week, they said you can take her home. So basically, able to take her home. Everything was fine. Preemie, when she was born, she was 4 pounds 14 ounces. 4 pounds and 14 ounces is what she weighed at birth. She was extremely tiny. If I could find a picture, I will insert the pictures at the end of the video, or right now. But yeah, she was really tiny. Bringing her home, it was different, something you had to get used to. And you know, like, I wouldn't say it was hard. I felt like I had all the help I needed, and you know, like, it was just, at the end, being able to bring her home, it was an amazing feeling at the end of the day. Like, yeah, it was just an amazing experience just to be able to bring her home finally. And I would say, when she came home, I think we had to bring her into the hospital probably, I think, 3-4 times, because the first time I had fed her, and I thought she did burp, but she didn't. And I just remember she vomit, and and then all of a sudden she's fighting to breathe. Like, I was just like, what's going on? And I'm just like tapping her, trying to get her to like burp, and nothing was happening. And like, I was so scared shitless. I brought her downstairs to my mom, and I'm like, something is wrong, like something's wrong, like I don't think she can breathe. And like, she's like gasping for air, and like, and my mom started to like basically tap her back, I guess, to just, I see she'll burp, or if anything else will come up. And it just got to the point where it's like, I think she started to, like, you could see the distress, and we had to call 911. And the fire truck, they came, and they were trying their best, and the ambulance came, and they took her to our local hospital, and they gave her air and stuff, and they were just telling me, like, basically, like, she didn't burp properly or whatever, and that's what was happening. And they were able to clear her away and stuff. And then other times that she's gone into a hospital, it was because, like, she was wheezing. Like, that was an issue. Also, when she would get sick, like, she would start wheezing, and we would have to bring her in. Probably, like, just overnight, no long time. I think the longest she stayed once was a good week or so in the hospital, because she was sick and she was wheezing and stuff. And yeah, one part I missed out is, I guess, basically being pregnant and in high school. And I really felt like I held my head really high. I didn't let anything get to me. I went to school every day as much as possible. I told my teachers, like, my situation and stuff, so, like, basically if I was missing class, then they would know why. And there were times when I would walk down the hall and I would hear people like, oh, she's pregnant, is she pregnant, I heard she's pregnant. Like I heard it. You hear them and stuff, and, like, I didn't let it get to me. You know, I still showed up to school with my belly in front of me. I didn't hear anyone say anything really bad or terrible. It was just more like, is she pregnant? I heard she's pregnant, and stuff like that. And I remember this one incident. One morning, I went to school. School hasn't started yet, and I was there, and I was walking around in the hallway, and this one person, I passed them, and they're staring at me, and the guy jumped out, like, as I walked past and was going up, he's like, yo, oh, I heard you're breathing. And then basically they started laughing and they ran, type of shit. I was just like, whatever, like, I really don't give a shit. Like, I don't give a shit. I didn't feel hurt. I didn't feel waves. I was just like, I don't care. And then one of the guys came after, and he sat beside me, and he's just like, oh, I heard that you're pregnant or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And he's like, no, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. He's like, oh, congratulations, whatever. I'm like, okay. And yeah, and then after a while, people just started coming up to me, and they were like asking me if I was pregnant, and, oh, congratulations, real or fake. I was just like, thank you. And I remember this one person, like, a mutual person, I guess, family friend or whatever you guys want to call this person. She's like, oh, I just thought you were getting fat, type of shit. And I'm just like, this is how you know when, like, this is why they say when you have nothing good to say, you just don't say anything at all. I was just like, really? And I basically laughed it off, and I was like, no, I'm pregnant, da 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 da, whatever. So, like, that was that. Like, my high school experience being pregnant, it wasn't a terrible experience. It was just like, everyone just figured out, like, I was pregnant. No one bothered me. From my knowledge, no one was making fun of me. From my knowledge, no one was saying terrible things about me. It was just like, she's pregnant, and, like, that was it. And yeah, so I didn't have a terrible experience. My guidance counselor talked to me. She just gave me some advice. She's like, in a way, I knew this was going to happen, and she's like, like, it's time to step up and stuff like that. And she's like, you gotta be showing up to classes and just try to get through or whatever. And she started throwing options at me, like, what I can do after I have my baby, because my due date was basically like the end of June or something, but I don't think I was going to be able to get through exams. But I ended up having her early May and stuff. So like yeah, it was just, overall it was very draining, like having to go to these like ultrasounds, these appointments, like every couple days, like a few days in a month, and it was just so much, and it was just very emotional to see your own child like that. And yeah, it was just like, I went there, I visited her, and I went home without my baby. It was very, very just sad. Like I was really sad, and I wasn't really talking to anyone about how I was feeling. I was probably asked if I was okay, and my answer would have probably been like, yeah, I'm fine. But it was amazing to see her go from 4 pounds 14 ounces to just a healthy, beautiful, strong baby. Like a healthy, beautiful, you wouldn't, but when she came out and her just developed, like growing over time, you would never have thought like, wow, this baby was a preemie, or wow, like this happened to her. She just, yeah, she started to creep, walk, everything, like, you know, like, I don't know, like she just grew so healthy, and I'm just so thankful that like everything went the way it went, and she came out healthy as ever, like healthy as ever. And yeah, I think that's it. Like, what else is there to say? Like, nothing. It was an emotional journey. It was definitely a stressful and depressing journey. I won't lie about that. Like, just to know like that over time, like this is what's happened. This is a situation with your baby, and this might be the outcome of the situation. And I think I got really worried because at one point I did wanted to have a natural birth, and I was hoping to have a natural birth. But then I came across a video of like a mom that baby had gastroschisis, and she gave natural birth and she lost her baby. And I was just like, oh my god, I think I was so traumatized. And I think when they told me C-section, I was like, I think I was happy in a way, like, because, you know, I felt like if I had pushed her out, it would have caused so much stress on her, and I would have probably lost her. And so, and it was a scary, it was really scary to hear them say like, oh, we're losing her heartbeat, we have to do an emergency C-section and stuff. And it was just really sad to be in the hospital and not have your baby beside you. And I remember the room I was in after I had her, there was a lady beside me, and she had her baby with her, and like family and stuff was coming in, and like you hear her baby cry, and I was just there on the next side with basically myself. I was in pain, and I shed a few tears and stuff. It was just really stressful, but like, I'm happy I decided to keep her. I'm happy that she's in my life. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me overall. I would have never changed anything about my situation whatsoever, not one little thing about it, because if I changed one thing, I wouldn't have the Judea I have today and stuff. And I know she might watch this video, and I want to say to you, I love you so, so much, Judea, and you are a beautiful, strong, melanin queen, and I love you so much. I love you so, so much. And I'm going to tell her, please like, comment, and subscribe. That's her favorite line. Oh my god. But yeah, you guys, so thank you so much for watching. Yeah, like, that's just my story. I don't have much to say about it. As you can see, I got very emotional at one point. And yeah, so I actually want to know if anyone comes across this and if they had a baby with gastroschisis, if you guys can comment down below and tell me what your situation was like. Because when I was in Sick Kids, I only came across one person, one lady, and I didn't even get to talk to her, but I overheard a conversation, and her baby had gastroschisis. And yeah, like, I don't hear much about this. It's not something you hear much about. And I would just like to know, like, if anyone's out there and their baby had this and stuff and their experience, can you guys please comment down below? Like, I would actually like to see, like, the amount of people that has gone through this and what their experience was like. So yeah, you guys, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will for sure see you in my next video. And hopefully my next video you guys see is next week for Vlogmas, because I think I'm gonna do Vlogmas. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, bye.
Oh, my friend, the sun will shine again. After the
I made slime at school. School was fun. And it's even fluffy slime. It's that sticky, but time I took it out, ugh, it's sticky. My mom don't like feeling that. Even Auntie Debbie do not like slime in the house. That's why I'm going to hide it from her. Because you know why? She also said, oh, you're not allowed to make slime in the house. I wasn't. She think it could mess up the table and smell on the table.